Hey guys, what's up? It is week 79, or 379. They had a 3 in front of that. Week 379. My speech gets a little slurred. It's not just me. I had a root canal done a few days ago, and yeah, it's not feeling 100%, but I'll get there. Yeah, so if you're wondering about the thumbnail, I did that on purpose because, of course, somebody left a comment about, a very bizarre comment about armpits and shit, and yeah, it was very weird, so I'm definitely poking a little fun at him. But yeah, so here we go. First up is from Synapse Films, and this is Crocodile from 1979. Yeah, just missed the 80s here. And of course, this is kind of a Jaws cash-in, but there's a couple versions of this one. This is a Thailand movie, a movie from Thailand. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is one of these ones that has like these alternate like cuts, and like some of them are like cut in this country and that country, all that kind of stuff here. So Crocodile was originally released by VCI on DVD. I don't remember the VHS. Funny story, this is a kind of a tangent here. I tried to order this VHS when I was like 12 online, and it came and the cover was so awesome. It's this amazing cover. It was the VHS as well. And they sent me Creepshow 2 inside the case instead, and I got so mad. It was the first thing I ever bought off eBay, and I was like, no! And just not understanding that, hey, it's not the end of the world. You're going to get it replaced or whatnot. I never got Crocodile. I got a refund, though. But yeah, so this is finally, all this time now, like 25 years later, now it's time to watch Crocodile. So now it's been remastered. It looks good. Yeah, so like I said, there's multiple versions on here. The version they chose to go with is, I think, the version with a little bit more, the U.S. release version, Miraculous Restored from the original 35 millimeter camera negative. There's other foreign versions, and some of the deleted scenes and alternate endings and stuff like that are on here. There's some more animal violence and whatnot. But yeah, here we go. So I love crocodiles. They're scary as shit. Probably the scariest thing at our zoo in Toledo. There's a giant saltwater crocodile, and it's fucking amazing. But I love the giant creature movies and everything in the vein of Jaws. So what happens at the very beginning is there's this giant tropical storm, and they're like, sometimes Mother Nature will fight back, and you're like, oh, we're doing this thing, the Mother Nature angle, where, you know, we have that big attack scene or whatnot, kind of like The Long Weekend, right, where the weather actually is just like, yeah, Mother Nature's out against us. So there's this big storm and everything like that, and this place is recovering. A lot of miniatures in this movie. And we kind of follow these two guys around. They're kind of the main characters. And we're seeing these crocodile attacks. An old lady is massacred by the crocodile. And this thing is huge, man. It's huge. So, essentially what happens is this guy's I think one's married to this woman, one's his wife. One guy has his wife out there, and one's like a newlywed, or basically going to be married relatively soon, a fiance if you will, and they're eaten by the crocodile, and they're like heartbroken. So they're going to try to figure out what's going on, what did this. They're asking if it's a shark or whatnot, and you know, kind of superstition flies. They do find out it is a crocodile, and this crocodile has been running amok around small villages and completely destroying them. They have these two scenes where the crocodile attacks these villages, but you completely can tell they're the same scene. They just cut the whole scene in half, and they're just like, hey, we're just going to do it twice. But it's done with miniatures, and it's really awesome, and the chaos is huge. You know, this crocodile is amazing, and they use little miniature people sometimes, where they'll have a giant croc head biting people and sucking them down. This is a lot in the vein of like Killer Crocodile, but I think it is a little less. Well, I say, is it cheesier or less cheesy? I'd say less cheesy than the Killer Crocodile movies from Italy. A little bit more, I guess, straightforward. So, essentially what happens is they start to hunt this crocodile. I should go into the village attack, you know, because there's no nudity in this movie at first. And then in this village attack, like, a lot of people are thrown into the water. It's like a mixture of live, like, you know, normal size and miniatures. And I don't think this is intentional. I think it's just been remastered so well you can actually see it now. But these women fall in, and they're not wearing underwear. And I was just like, this is really weird, because like you're under the water looking at all these people kicking and screaming, and they're wearing like these dresses, and you're seeing like everything down there. And I was just like, I don't think this is on purpose. But then again, they have these kids swimming, like these small adolescent kids swimming naked, and I was like, holy shit, there's these like little boys swimming naked in the water running from the crocodile. I was like, you know, it's a different country, it's a different time, but still, you know, it definitely makes you notice. You're just like, okay. But, you know, they decide to track down the crocodile. They get the help of this badass guy. On the way, they found kind of a photographer That's out there as well. And yeah, we have your quintessential kind of Jaws storyline where they're going to track down this crocodile. It is enormous. The size does seem to change a bit, but overall it's pretty enjoyable. Also, what is enjoyable on here is, well, you have video interview with original Crocodile Fangs director. See, it was original and then re-edited for a different version. But we have audio commentary with writer and film historian Lee Gambit. R.I.P. of course. Yeah, he was pretty much the expert in all the animal attacks movies, and his references here are vast. He goes into this being that, and this movie there, and some analysts and critiquing and stuff like that. And a lot of his stuff is in depth, and maybe you don't agree with everything how he's pointing this and that stuff, but it's interesting nonetheless. He takes all these movies and makes them very interesting, and his knowledge on animal attacks movies is probably unmatched. I don't think I've ever heard anybody else spout more knowledge about animal attacks films. But yeah, good commentary, good fun film, remastered really well, some deleted scenes, amazing cover too. I love that cover art. I think there was another cover art that they did, limited kind of slip cover that had more explicit material on it, but that's Crocodile. Okay, next up from Arrow Video is this set here, 2 4Ks, When Titans Ruled the Earth. Clash of the Titans from 2011 and Wrath of the Titans from 2012. Now, I was a fan of the original Clash of the Titans from 1981. I rewatched it for 81 and still enjoyed it, and I never saw this remake. I don't know, it was like remake crazy at the time, but honestly, as much as I like Clash of the Titans, it is very dated. Even for the time it was made, it was a throwback to the Ray Harryhausen. It was Ray Harryhausen effects. So, it was going back to something that was made in the 60s. So being made in the 80s, it was like the last hurrah of that. And it was really special and really cool, and it's very nostalgic for me and other people as well, the kind of fantasy elements and the Greek mythology. I'm a fan of that kind of thing. So maybe I stuck my nose up. Maybe it was a time when I really wasn't watching all that many remakes or new films, but Clash of the Titans 2010. I was like, okay, we're going to put this in, and I noticed the runtime is not as long as the original. I think the original almost is about 2 hours. This is a little under that, maybe about, they're probably around the same 150 or so. And Sam Worthington stars in this. Sam Worthington was in the Avatar movies, and he's not a guy I'm too familiar with. He's not, well, you got your guys, If someone just to throw a random actor jug, I'm like, that's my guy, Susan Terrell, that's my girl, all these people like this. Those are like kind of the people that you like, and you like. Sam Worthington was somebody that I didn't really know very well, and he was the star of this film, and the opening opens a little different, in the remake, we have the hero who is the son, a half son of Zeus, and he's going to marry the girl, so he goes out to save her, or whatnot, something along those lines. It's kind of established who he is. This time he's like living with a fisherman family. I don't remember if the original opens up like that or not, but his father is like Pete Postlethwaite. He's in Jurassic Park 2 and he's in a million movies. Classic British actor. I think he's British. He's very good. He plays his father who adopted him when he found him in the water, and essentially what happens is, Hades comes out and he knocks over, a Zeus statue and made it look like it was the people that did it. So Zeus is offended, he's upset. He no longer, the people he created do not respect him. So he is basically going to punish this city. And they need their daughter sacrificed. He brings in Hades to do his work and everything like that. And we get a glimpse at all the gods here. We see like Luke Evans, and we see Danny Houston as Poseidon, and a bunch of other ones. A lot of the stuff with the gods was cut, and I don't know if that was the right choice or the wrong choice at the time. They have all these kind of weird alternate takes and different deleted scenes, and you're like, is there a better movie in here if we cobble this and add this and the stuff? I'm not 100% sure. What I do know is this was better than expected. I do like the original, but it does turn into the original as well. They basically do the whole kind of guys on a mission, Greek guys, that means to save them, to stop the Kraken, because that's the ultimate thing here. The Kraken's going to be released unless they sacrifice, the prince of the the daughter of the kingdom to the gods or whatnot, and sacrifice that to the Kraken, and then essentially they could save the city. Of course, he's on this suicide mission to take this group of soldiers out there and get what he thinks can stop them. At first they have to visit, they run into some scorpions because Calypso, I can't think of the guy's name, played by, in this one it's Jason Fleming. Remember the guy who's scarred by the gods, and he wants his revenge, right? So he joins Hades to help him, and he's really cool special effects. The effects here are mixed practical and CGI, and I think they work pretty well. They held up a lot better than a lot of the newer effects I've seen on CGI only. So, I mean, there is always something about practical effects that are going to add a little bit of magic to the movies. So, basically, they run into him. His blood creates giant scorpions, so we see this giant scorpion fight, which is a lot of fun, and we're on our way to the witches. Of course, you have to ask the witches to find out what can stop the Kraken. And this is a lot of fun because there's a lot of practical effects here, and there's like they have the 3 witches without the eye, and they pass around the eye like the original. But what was cute about this is one of the witches was played by like a small person. So like they're like, and it's just really funny and just a very really in tone with this, and it fit perfectly with the little witches. Of course, you know they have to find Medusa. Everybody knows Medusa from Greek mythology. Anybody who looks at her turns to stone. So, as the movie progresses, it's a ragtag group of people, right? You have Mads Mikkelsen, you have Nicholas Hoult in there, you have Leon Cunningham, I believe, from stuff like Dog Soldiers. So you got a nice little team of people. That I mentioned also Liam Neeson is one of the gods. He is Zeus, of course, and Ralph Fiennes is Hades. So you have a really wonderful cast in this movie, and like the ragtag group of people are all memorable. And Medusa's cool, great villain. So... And the Kraken looks pretty cool, too. The special effects are fun. It's a loud movie. It's kind of in line with, like, if you would say, the Marvel movies, but it's Clash of the Titans in that kind of vein. I enjoyed this more than I thought it would. The sound design is excellent. The special effects are pretty solid as well. As far as the special features, we have, of course, Dolby Vision, HDR10, 5.1 surround sound, optional subtitles. Of course, Scaling Mount Olympus, brand new interview with producer Basil Iwakat. Sam Worthington is Perseus, Zeus, father of the gods. Man, these are all archival stuff that are on here as well. All the archival stuff is ported over. The only new one is the interview with the producer, who seems to really love this movies, and he had an affinity for the original when he wanted to make these, and they're planning to do a third one as well. But we have an alternate ending and deleted scenes as well. There's a bunch of like classic old archival stuff. But yeah, this also has some cool little booklets in here and some cards. This is a fun movie, better than expected, you know. I was curious, but I didn't really know what to expect, and it lived up to what better. Because I'm kind of a hater, and I'll talk about a remake. I can be a hater sometimes. I'll talk about a remake a little later during this video, which I did not like at all. But yeah, Clash of the Titans, enjoyable. The remake from 2010. Okay, next up is Wrath of the Titans from 2012. We bring back Sam Worthington, and now he's Perseus, and he's living by himself, kind of raised his own family. He's a fisherman. He wants nothing to do with the gods. And Zeus kind of brings him back, talks to him and says, listen, we're losing power. And Kronos, my father, if anybody knows in Greek mythology, Kronos was the father of the gods, and we have all these big things like that. And, they... created the Titans like Kraken to kill. They created the Kraken to kill the Titans that were their parents, and now Zeus created the humans, and the humans. It all goes up and up and up. People killing each other's parents, all these kind of themes like that. But Zeus contacts Perseus and says, "You have to help me. The gods are losing their powers, and the only one that can really do anything is 2 half gods, and I think one is the son of Poseidon, half son, and." The gods are losing their power. They go to Hades, and Hades betrays them. And we learn that Hades is working with Apollo and, of course, Kronos. And he's promised power if Kronos, gets out and everything like that. So, it's a group of people on a mission. I don't think the group is as memorable as the first film. You don't, like I said, have the cast or the characters. They're fine. There's a lot of good action. There's a nice little chase in the very beginning here, where we kind of go through the city. Is that in the first one or second one? That's the major problem with a lot of these. I know in the first movie you have the big Medusa head being like taken away by the villains and they're chasing them through. But this one focuses a little bit more on the gods, and you see their story, and they kind of elaborate how the gods work. Worshipping the gods give them power, and if they lose their power, they lose kind of things like that. So there's a lot of interesting qualities like that I think the first movie wanted to explore a little bit more. The fight scene at the end is really fun. It's kind of a big battle of these like double soldiers that are twirling around and killing each other with these swords. I thought that was really good. And Rolf Fiennes, and Liam Neeson are good together, and they get to share kind of a great moment of bonding, which I really thought was good stuff. Overall, this is a solid, fun little popcorn movie. I think that the first one is a little bit better. I always like Liam Neeson, and I think Sam Worthington's much better in here too. I think I don't know, like the producer said on the special features, he kind of got more comfortable in his skin, after the first one, and really knew what he was doing, and I would agree. He's actually, the second one's not as good. to me because you got accustomed to the original cast, and now that they're not here, you kind of long for them. And Sam Worthington was like my least favorite. Now I like him the best. So you're like, whatnot. And I do think recasting a certain actress in here was for the best. I think that she's probably the weakest performance in the first film, but overall, I think this is pretty good. We also have Bill Nighy. I completely forgot about him as Hephaestus, the guy who builds all the weapons, and he's got a nice little kind of good moment and good ending to him. But yeah, overall enjoyable. Not as good as the first, but I wouldn't have minded seeing a third for sure. As far as the special features, of course, HDR10, 5.1 sound, and then we have Unleashing the Beast, a brand new interview with producer Basil Iwanka. How do you say that? Iwanka? And then we have the old classic kind of Who Are the Titans? Hephaestus got a fire, archival stuff that breaks down the gods and gives you a little bit of mythology, how it pertains to this film. So overall, really cool release of two movies that maybe you missed, maybe you didn't see. I didn't see them, and I'm glad I watched them. Fun stuff. All right, we're going to end the Nico Mrparka set here. And with the last two, of course, Ninja Academy and Naked Truth. We're going to start off with Ninja Academy. Yes, and this is by far the stupidest movie of the set. And I don't mean that as an insult because I like stupid. Hell, some people may even call me stupid. But yeah, Ninja Academy. So this is, again, a ragtag group of students that are going to learn. They're going to come together. They do everything wrong. They're all silly. And they're going to come together and learn how to be ninjas and fight the bad ninjas who have a history with the main sensei, right? That's what we're doing. That's how it's going down. So essentially we have all these different people from walks of life. We have a playboy rich guy who's got to pass this ninja academy where he's cut off from his dad. Fuck, bummer, man. Then we have a crazy survivalist who's really nuts. We have an ultra clumsy guy. We have a girl who wants to get into martial arts so she can date a guy. Her friend goes wrong. And then we have a mime. And I think these are the main kind of characters that are in this group. And we have a James Bond guy who is killing too many people and blowing too much property up. So he's got to go through and learn how to be a little bit more, ninja-like. At the same time, we have an old sensei. In the very beginning, he has like this big fight with this. I don't know this actor, but he's like, kind of a home buys Robert Mitchum style guy, and they fight, and he's kind of dirty, and we know he's going to be the bad sensei, and he's running his own kind of ninja academy where he's ripping everybody off. So these guys are going to learn to be ninjas if it kills them. It's really silly. It's really stupid. There's a dream sequence for all of them. We kind of realize what the characters want and everything. It does get kind of quirky and at the end where you're kind of enjoying yourself. There is a really crazy nude scene, which you don't really expect. I mean, it is a comedy, and the language isn't harsh, the violence isn't harsh, and the nudity is always welcome in these cheesy comedy movies. It's always kind of like, that it's expected. But there's a nude camp nearby, and we see Full Frontal, and I was just like, that's crazy for Ninja Academy. It definitely put some people to buy this one. The fighting is okay. The characters are a little silly, a little goofy for my taste, but overall, Ninja Academy is just all right. Is it the weakest in the set? Although I think that the next one is a much better movie, I'd probably watch Ninja Academy over it, if that says anything. But it's down. It's not in the top three. It's in the bottom three. I would put next one, this one, and was it Sky High probably on the bottom three, and then the next three I actually enjoy a little bit more, like Naked Truth, Terminal Exposure, and what is the last one? What am I missing? I got to cheat. Sorry, guys. Glitch. Yeah, those three I think are the top tier of the set. So yeah, Ninja Academy special features include Nico Mrparka looking back on Ninja Academy, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Optional subtitles, and Chiba remembers a brand new interview with Gerard Okamura looking back at his role in Ninja Academy and his career as an actor and martial artist. Yeah, so let's get into the other one. Okay, the next one here is, of course, The Naked Truth. Let me just pull it out and stop being lazy, Dave. Stop being lazy. Do it for the fans. Less armpit, more showing the back of slipcovers, apparently. I need some personality. But, yeah, that's all for the inside joke stuff. But anyways, The Naked Truth. And Nico talked about this in his special features. He's like, everybody says it's like the other Naked Truth, and it's not. It's not. It's really a remake of, or a homage, basically, to Some Like It Hot. Of course, the classic Tony Curtis Jack Lemmon movie, who's it, Billy Wilder, where they, of course, dress as women to get away from something, and is it Marilyn Monroe in that one, too, if I'm not mistaken? It's been years. But a comedy hijinks ensue. It's very funny. funny. But what happens this time is these guys are traveling and they get their bag switched by another guy. It's actually Emmett Walsh. The cast in this movie is fantastic. Just besides that, you got John Vernon, Alex Cord. You also have, who else pops up in here? Brian Thompson, who was actually married to Nico Mrparka's daughter at the time, which is crazy. I did not know that. Love Brian Thompson from stuff like Fright Night 2 and Cobra. He's always fun. Bloodsport. But yeah, so John Vernon from another movie he did. What was the other one? Terminal Exposure. He's in here. Alex Cord, very tiny roles. Zsa Gabor, Little Richard. There's just so many more people I could probably, if I sat here and think. But anyways, there's a guy who's going to be in the Witness Protection Program. Walsh, he's got a bunch of information to take down this ketchup tycoon. Is he a ketchup tycoon? I think he is. He's kind of this Italian mobster kind of guy. Or is he Greek? I don't know. But he's supposed to have this information to take him down. Brian Thompson is sent to the airport to take him out and then pick up all these girls that he's going to kind of wine and dine this mobster and pick out which one he likes better. They're there for like this high fashion show or whatnot. So this is a very self-aware movie, and it's self-aware in the point where like the characters break the fourth wall and tell you what's going to happen next in the plot. And to be honest, it's pretty clever and it's pretty funny in that aspect. Like there's points where the characters are asking questions to someone else and the other people are answering it that are like, no, my name's this. It's really weird and funny, and it couldn't be easy to do exactly. So Brian Thompson plays a real dumb guy, and he makes a mistake, and these guys end up being with the bag. And they know that these bad guys are after him, so what they do is they dress up as women. And a lot of hijinks and stupidity ensue. They get put in with a bunch of beautiful women that he's trying to wine and dine, and guess what? The mobster, the main mobster, he doesn't fall for any of the beautiful models. He falls for one of the guys dressed as a woman. You're so different. You're so masculine. Of course, we have all the typical some like it hot humor. It works. It's funny, that kind of humor. Although some people are like, is it insensitive? I don't really think so. It's so somebody that's disguised as somebody else and has to kind of live the life out without going too far. It can always be funny. I mean, Nico Mrparka was definitely playing into the stuff of the time, so there might be some slurs or anything like that. But watching them and reflecting them at the time, I really don't think that there's any deep hatred for anybody in the movies. Only the bad guys come across really shitty, as they should. Sorry about that. But yeah, this one is fun. It's one of the funner ones in the set. Huge cast, huge ridiculousness, plenty of pretty girls, if that's your thing, and plenty of hijinks and silliness and great little cameos by great actors and everything. And we even do the, pardon me, do you have any Grey Poupon gag in here, which is it's there, and it was a big part of the late 80s, early 90s, the Grey Poupon stupid gag commercial thing, but it's in here. Pretty funny. And as far as the special features are concerned, we have Nico interviews himself, The Naked Truth. Brand new interview with writer-director Nico Mrparka looking back at the role. So, yeah, this set's pretty fun. Overall, if you're a big Nico fan, or if you like some other stuff like Zero Boys, but this is a set that's less oriented towards, like, horror films. It's more like zany adventure, sci-fi action. So you look at the set as the whole, The Time Traveler, aka the next one, that's more of a serious sci-fi fantasy drama. Then you look at Sky High, that's a zany, goofy, kind of action-adventure, like sci-fi kind of deal. Terminal Exposure, again, a very weird, comedic kind of action-adventure. Glitch, very silly kind of hijinks ensue comedy, but some action as well. Ninja Academy action, comedy action, super dumb, like in Police Academy, and then The Naked Truth, which is a straight up more comedy element here. So the set, pretty fun stuff, a lot lesser known Nico movies, a lot of skin in it, a lot of goofiness, a lot of explosions. I mean, he's not cheap when it comes to action, so if you enjoy his movies like, Zero Boys or Island of Death, maybe give that a chance. Alright, I'm going to be a little brief with this because I am planned to have a discussion about the actual original from 82, but I wanted to just talk a little bit about Poltergeist 2015. Now, I've had a long relationship with Poltergeist. I don't want to talk about Poltergeist here. I want to talk about Poltergeist 2015. So it's going to be brief because I'll mention it in the essay, the 1982 video. Hopefully that's still scheduled. There might be a little delay on that. Maybe I'll just do a video essay by myself if things don't work out. But okay, the Poltergeist 2015 movie I skipped because it was that a lot of remakes were being oversaturated and everything like that. Now this movie the original is very quintessential 80s. So this remake, there's certain things I like about the original and certain things that I don't think could be done today and work well. The remake, has a family move into this house that's down on its luck, unlike the original where we have, Craig T. Nelson selling the houses around and living there for a while and being and not, so he has a connection and a responsibility. This time Sam Rockwell has just basically lost his job. His wife doesn't work, stay home with kids, so they're broke, although they're moving into a very nice house. Hollywood logic there. So Sam Rockwell's a good actor. He's good in this performance. He's not anything like Craig T. Nelson's character, hence why they probably changed their last names, because it couldn't really live up to those characters. He's not that character. He's a down on his luck dad, trying the best for his family. He shows emotion, he shows fear, and more so much. He seems hurt right from the beginning of the movie. And we have his wife, who I don't even know the characters' names. Everybody but Sam Rockwell in this movie, maybe besides some of the ghost hunters, pretty write-off. They're write-offs. There's just no non-characters, to be honest. Even the little girl named Maddie, I don't think that she has much going on, unfortunately, in the film. Not a bad performance, just bad, boring character writing. They move into a house, and the one thing I will say positive about the movie is the sound design is really good, and some of the digital effects towards the end of the film are interesting and kind of creepy. When they try to recreate scenes from the original Poltergeist, they fall short. And all my favorite personal touches about Poltergeist aren't there. So I know people are like, well, you can't look at the original. Well, I don't necessarily follow that every time. Now, and I do think there's some personal prejudices in there, right? So something like Chud 2. I saw that at a very young age. It wasn't supposed to be Chud. It was supposed to be like a Return of the Dead sequel. It's a terrible sequel to Chud. I don't have an affinity for the original Chud. I did as a kid. I always liked Chud 2 better growing up. It's a kid's movie. I mean, maybe Chud 2 doesn't hold up for me either, but I'm just saying, when I looked at Poltergeist, it was another movie I had an affinity for as a kid. And I'm rewatching this, and the thing is, that subgenre of movies has been ripped off, done so much more in that time frame that the remake of Poltergeist has done. And the original Poltergeist does everything so much better. And I'm not saying that the remake of Poltergeist is an awful movie. It just doesn't have any of the suburban quality that I look forward to. Actually, I do think it is a bad movie in terms of like just doing anything different or better than the original, because it doesn't do anything. It does some things different, but it doesn't work. It shortens up the runtime, and maybe it's a little less convoluted. It doesn't have the chaos that suburban life brings you in the movie. It doesn't have the score, which is so memorable. It doesn't have the cast and the characters and interactions with other people that make the movie seem genuine and lived in. This seems very cookie cutter. It seems very bland in its lighting technique, besides maybe towards the end of the film. The sound design, I said, is very good, very creepy, and there's a couple images there, but it's almost like, hey, drones are popular, let's get a drone in this movie. It's just so dated within minutes of its being released. Sam Rockwell, good performance. Everyone else, I don't remember, I won't remember, and I don't care to remember. I mean, I know maybe people want more in-depth review, but I don't want to be super negative. But Poltergeist remake, not for me. All right, guys, let's get into those 1982 movies.
I know I'm human. If you were all these things, then you just attack me right now. So some of you are still human. This thing doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation. It'll fight if it has to. But it's vulnerable out in the open. If it takes us over, then it has no more enemies. Nobody left to kill it. And then it's won.
You son of a bitch, you moved the cemetery, but you left the bodies, didn't you? You son of a bitch, you left the bodies and you only moved the headstones! You only moved the headstones! Why?
For a girl like you to come into my life, I've been waiting for a girl like you, the love that will survive.
What's in the basket?
How do we know she is alive?
Say, please stop it. There's no more time. You've got to... Please, stop it. Stop it now. Turn it off. Turn it off. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop
Alright guys, the first one up is The Agitator. This is a set from this director, Jean-Pierre Mocky, and the movie I'm talking about is, of course, Litan. I had never seen Litan, and I was always very interested in checking it out when I saw that Radiance is putting out a movie overseas. This is a region AB, I think, ABC. It's not locked. I don't know if the other discs are, but I was very excited to check this out. So this one always seemed like it's up my alley, kind of folklorish, definitely folklorish. So the plot follows Jock. I can't remember his wife's name, but she has a nightmare, a very detailed premonition of things to come where her husband dies. She wakes up in a fluster, and she's in this small, creepy village where they're celebrating the Festival of the Dead, where people are in costume and they're going to speak to their loved ones. Something like, I guess, like, it's weird, countries like, I want to say it's like kind of like, it reminds you of Mexico's Day of the Dead, or maybe something like Mardi Gras, I think, is technically the Day of the Dead, or something like that. A lot of these festivals are strange in different countries. The traditions are different, especially small villages, is what makes it kind of folklorish, and all the masks and everything directly remind me of Wicker Man immediately. So she rushes to find her husband. Her husband is doing some geology work, kind of messing with these stones, this stone structure that's built right by the cemetery. He has another kind of a co-worker with him, a tall, lanky man whose son's with him, and what happens is there's a lot of underwater like streams and everything like that. In the very beginning, you see this person who's completely out of their mind. They get in a car, they're focused, and they crash into somebody. And we start seeing these people that are almost being overtaken by something, that are they dead? Or is something inside of them taking them over? And I don't want to spoil anything yet, so what I will say is this movie is really well done. It's really well acted. It's really well paced. The cinematography is unmatched. The locations are unmatched. This is an exceptional, weird, kind of off-putting, creepy, yet very intriguing movie that I really loved. It was definitely a hidden gem of 1982. I know people know it, but I don't think everybody has seen it. I think Severance announced that they are going to release it down the line. They said something about when this set was released that it's planned to be released. But Litan is an exceptional French film. The lead guy is a badass. I like both the lead characters are tough as nails. There's this cop who's after him the whole time, who's basically the only person who has any kind of he just doesn't buy into what's going on. He's great. So, yeah, without spoiling anything else, I would highly recommend this movie if you're into creepy, kind of folkish, small village horror movies that are exceptionally well shot with kind of while you watch, you start to figure out what's going on more and more. But after this, I'm going to start talking about spoilers because I'm interested in how this stuff works. So I am a huge fan of stuff like the spoilers now, guys. I'm a huge fan of stuff like The Crazies or Messiah of Evil or any of these kind of weird folkish horror movies like The Ensign's Woods or anything like that. I love folk horror. I love kind of contagion movies. So what you kind of figure is they're messing with a cemetery nearby during the Festival of the Dead, so all these blue spirits are in the water. You start to see them out of the corner of your eye, and people's bodies are disappearing. Sometimes people are being overtaken. And within their eyeball, when you see up close, you can see what soul has jumped in their body. Sometimes it's more than one soul. Such a beautiful idea, such a cool idea. Me and my friend wrote a story where it was kind of like demons, right? Where people get possessed by murderous people, everything like that, and they go crazy, and it's like a zombie movie. But there was a blue light, like that would jump around, and each blue light could contain numbers of souls, and you'd all bad souls, and they'd get in you. And we were doing like this demons thing we were writing, and this movie's doing it, but it's doing it a little different. So all these people from the cemetery released, it's the Festival of the Dead, think midnight hour or something. You come back on Halloween, you want unfinished business. So these people are going around. Some of them are crazy, some of them are violent, some of them just want to go tell their wife they love them, but they're taking over these bodies where there's a constant fight battle between the souls, so everybody's out of their fucking mind, like the crazies. Such a cool fucking idea, and it's so unique and weird, and there's a lot of connection with water, and there's kind of a mad scientist. I wouldn't say mad scientist, but he's got a couple ideas in here. Litan is perfect. It's a great movie. I think it's going to make my top 25 of 82. It's a first-time watch. That doesn't typically happen when you go through these retro years, and a first-time watch just pushes its way into the top 25. But I would really recommend this movie. It's good stuff. It looks gorgeous. There's some special features on here as well. We have new 4K restoration. It looks amazing. And then we have Small Town Masquerade, or is it, Love, Death, and Dreams in Litan, new visual essay by journalist Atan Bittel. That's a great one, because he's watching this, and when I was watching this movie, I was like, it's a lot like Wicker Man. There's crazies, and then he's like, this is reminiscent of this, and this, and this, and this, and this is why, and this is how, and this is where, and you're like, yeah, this guy's on point. This guy knows exactly what he's talking about, using references of other horror films and stuff like that. Great stuff. And then we have archival behind-the-scenes documentary from Litan, the French television. Archival interview with Jean-Pierre Mocky about his relationship to the Fantastic. New and improved optional English subtitles, reversible sleeves featuring original newly commissioned artwork by Tomorrow. Limited edition 80-page booklet featuring new writing by Roberto Curti, Nathaniel Thompson, and Alexandra Heller-Nichols. Love Nathaniel Thompson. All those people are very good. Newly translated archival interviews, including Serge Tubano and Jean-Pierre Mocky and Oliver Asanyas and Michael Serralta. So great stuff. Love this movie. Exceptional for 1982. All right, we're hopping into another box set here. This is Exploitation's Rarities, Volume 1. And we're talking Crosstalk. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Talking baseball, a little Simpsons reference, or the actual baseball song. But yeah, 1982 Hitchcockian thriller, according to them, and I wouldn't disagree. It's a Rear Window take. Rear Window is such a popular movie. Everybody loves Rear Window for good reason, of course. Somebody sees something they don't know if they saw, or they think they saw it, but this one has a twist, of course. No one believes this guy. He's working on this kind of supercomputer. I don't even know what the computer exactly does. It makes life easier. It does things like turn on the light, so it does weird shit, that we take for granted that Alexa probably does for us now. But so this guy gets injured in a car accident, possibly the computer's fault. He's wheelchair bound temporarily, and he has a lot of pressure from this business to finish this job. He needs to finish it. While he's working one night, the computer records something, and it thinks that something happened, a murder happened, and it will not really let him move on. It starts to act really finicky and buggy because of it, and this goes all the way up to the top. This starts to register the person who committed a murder is well off, and he starts to influence the people that are running this company. It gets really weird and bizarre. Of course, his nurse doesn't believe him. His wife doesn't believe him, but they should, because the creepy guy in the apartment who possibly beheaded his wife is kind of a little bit in on it, or he knows what's going on with the computer and everything like that. Overall, Crosstalk started off as a less interesting movie. I was like, where are we getting here? I feel like I'll miss something. I don't love this movie. But I was watching the special features, and the features on here, shooting Hitchcock down under interview with cinematographer Vincent Motan. He talks about all this being lit by neon. I'm like, oh, that is a really cool kind of aspect there. Rear Window meets 2001, a visual essay by screenwriter and author Stephen Vogt. And I was like, and he starts pointing out these. He's like, yeah, this is Rear Window. This is 2001. I was like, I can see Rear Window. 2001, yeah, the technology kind of taking over. Also, it's like Parallax View, where those political thriller espionage thing. I was like, it is kind of a mix of that. And he's like, there's a lot of movies like these movies, but there's nothing like all three of these movies. And I was like, he makes a good point. The ending's also pretty fucking bonkers. I think that I am having a disconnect for some of these Australian movies, but I do think this one is interesting. I think it's worth watching. I'm glad I have the Blu-ray. But as far as other features, we have Not Quite Hollywood, interview with executive producer Ross Matthews, archival interviews with the director Mark Egerton, executive producer Ross Matthews, and composer Chris Neal. Archival interview with original writer-director Keith Solot, conducted by film critic David Stratton. That's audio only, VHS experience, extended theatrical trailer, and the trailer. So 1982 movie I never really had seen. Glad I got to finally watch it. Crosstalk. All right. Next one up here is Mortuary, and this is a Scorpion release. This was also re-put out by MVD Rewind. I've covered this movie before, 1982. Some listed as 83. Internet Movie Database says 82, so that's what we're going with until it changes to 83. And I'm like, I gotta talk about Mortuary again for 83. But yeah, I gotta have to keep bringing this kind of stuff up. But yeah, so this one here, I had seen this. It's kind of a slower, kind of slasher, thriller movie. It has Bill Paxton in it. Gotta love Bill Paxton. Young Bill Paxton. Right after Night Warning, a.k.a. Butcher Baker Nightmare Warning from 81. We're in 82, Bill Paxton. Then we got Christopher George, R.I.P., and Linda Day George, his wife. So I'm a big fan of Christopher George and Bill Paxton. Linda Day George is cool as well. You know, those two also did Pieces this year. I love Pieces. I can't wait to get to that one. And Christopher George had a really wild career of weird movies like Whiskey Mountain, Day of the Animals, Grizzly. And when he gets in the 80s, he's like Exterminator, City of Living Dead, Graduation Day. And he, of course, had this one, Mortuary, among a couple others, I believe. But so what happens is Christopher George runs a mortuary, right? He's a funeral parlor kind of guy. And in the very beginning of this movie, this young girl witnesses her father be murdered. He's hit with a table leg and drowns. No one believes that he was murdered, including her mother and the guy's his wife, Linda Day George. They live in this nice, beautiful house. Linda Day George starts dating Christopher George, who runs the funeral parlor, and basically the boyfriend of Linda George's daughter is the main character. He ends up getting into this. Him and his buddy are in the funeral home, and his buddy's taking some tires to make up for some lost wages. He got fired for supposedly seeing a seance performed by Christopher George, and we see another one, Jesus. And Linda Day George is there too. What is going on? Are they responsible for the murder of her husband? I don't know. We'll have to watch and find out. Essentially what happens is there was a murderer going around. He starts embalming people. So I mean, like, explaining all that stuff, it seems a little complicated, but it's not really. Nobody believes that this guy, kind of Rear Window story, nobody believes that he saw this. Nobody believes that Christopher George is a bad guy. And we don't know who is stalking Linda J. George's daughter. Is it Christopher George? Is it the son of Christopher George, Bill Paxton, who's a little wacky and used to love her, and maybe he still loves her? Bill Paxton in this movie is very wacky, very neurotic performance. Good performance. Christopher George is good as well. There's a couple gore scenes. The embalming tool is a good weapon to use. Overall, this is an alright, slower kind of slasher with a couple kills. It ends kind of in the big kind of reveal. It's like, hey, here's all my dead bodies. Hey, we're going to have this crazy kind of celebration party. You've seen it in Happy Birthday to Me. You've seen it in Madhouse. Usually it happens at the end of a birthday-oriented slasher. This time it didn't. Or maybe you've seen it in the end of one of the Friday the 13th movies. Hey, here's my body pile. These are all the people I've been fucking killing all day. That's why you didn't find any of them. And we have that kind of little thing at the end. We also have another little shock twist ending there. We have an interview with the composer here, John Carreras. Is that the composer? John Kakavas. What does he say that? Kakavas. I say that. Or Kakavas. Sorry, bud. That sounded so stupid and shitty. I'm sorry, I mispronounced your name. But the trailer is also included on here. If this is not a mistake, and this is the one trailer that was made for the movie that completely unrelated to the movie. It's either that or Funeral Home. I believe it's Mortuary. It has Michael Berryman digging, and he gets pulled under. He's like, and it's just like, everyone's like, is this a zombie movie? And they were trying to advertise it, I think, as a zombie movie because slashers were kind of waning down until, 84 when we have Nightmare on Elm Street, and everybody's like, we can make supernatural slasher movies. These things barely have to make it. They even have to make less sense. Yeah, we get Pledge Night in there and all sorts of wacky, weird things. Trick or Treat. But yeah, so you know what I mean. Yeah, so this movie is fun. It's decent. It's a standard slasher thriller from 1982 that I would give a slight recommend if you want to see, the Georges and Bill Paxton. And it looks pretty good, sounds pretty good, This one does not have subtitles, but the MVD Rewind does, and it has the same features. All right, we're going to get in the Patreon pick, and I think this is Jim Simon, possibly? I can't remember. No, it was David Luton. I'm so terrible with this at this point. But he picked Way Out West, the Laurel and Hardy movie. And I got a confession to make. I watched a lot of horror movies. I was a Three Stooges fan growing up in Abbott Costello. Love those guys. Watched a lot of Three Stooges, Abbott Costello. Didn't watch any Laurel and Hardy. This is 37. This is a Western kind of comedy. I would give it the weekly Western, but I don't feel comfortable doing that because I wasn't very familiar with the movie, or I don't have all that much to say about Way Out West. But yeah, this is fun. Laurel and Hardy are pretty funny, obviously. Newsflash, some of the most beloved comedians ever. They're kind of funny. They're pretty funny, man. But yeah, so these guys are buffoons, as all great comedians play well. And they go to the West to deliver a will, kind of a note, a will. This girl's father died, Mary, and she's going to get this will. She's going to get basically a gold mine. She's getting a gold mine and everything like that. But what happens is these guys are complete morons. They walk in, they don't pay attention, and her uncle is running this place, and he has a wife and this really kind of mean paid dancer that kind of is beloved by everybody here. All the men, I should say, So basically what happens is they decide to pose as Mary, and he says, pose as Mary, and essentially we'll just take this gold mine. And Mary's a little sweet lady, she's basically, what is it? What is that? Snow White, kind of deal. She's this lovely person. This is Snow White with the terrible stepdaughters, or is that Sleeping Cinderella? Cinderella, guys, I am old, but basically Cinderella, right? Where she's just doing all the work around the place, being treated like crap by these two. Laurel and Hardy have a lot of good, funny gags in here. They have a rope gag where they're trying to climb and they keep beating each other up with a rope. But one of the best gags is the meat. So Laurel, he has a hole in his shoe, and some guy's like, I can't eat this meat at the saloon. He throws it up there. He's like, it's tough as leather. And he's like, huh. So he shoves it in his shoe, and at one point, it gets like a cigarette steps on it, starts burning, and there's like dogs after it. It's just stupid, funny kind of hijinks, dumb goofball humor that I like. I like that kind of stuff. But there's always a couple gags. Repeating gags always get me as well. Where Hardy keeps walking, and every time he walks through this pond, it's like supposed to be short, like a little, not pond, but like puddle basically, and he keeps walking, he falls in a fucking hole. It happens like 3 times, and it's just it works every time. It's very funny. The first time you're like, oh, all right. The second time you're like, third time you're like, that's right, he's falling in that hole. I mean, the movie sets up a lot of things pretty well. It's very goofy. The lighter with a finger, a lot of stuff. It's fun, it's short, it's sweet. It's definitely the perfect kind of movie you just put on and enjoy. I would watch more Laurel and Hardy. These are the kind of movies that, like, when I couldn't sleep, or I had to stay up, and I don't mean this as an insult at all, when I had to stay up for something, or I couldn't sleep because of the anticipation, I'd put like stuff like this on, turn on the TV and watch some Three Stooges or Laurel and Hardy, Abbott Costello. It's very funny. It's very hard kind of humor to do. People underestimate the kind of humor that this is very performative, very vaudeville. It's art shit. Like, I know people are like, Ernest ain't funny. Ernest is doing 1 million impressions at once, and he's running around making those faces and doing all these stunt gags and everything. Like, that stuff's hard. And these guys are good at it, man. I think that these kind of were brilliant comedians. I don't even know if this kind of humor is around anymore, I know some of the SNL guys would do it, but I feel like it's dying out. I'm also not the guy to talk to about new comedies. I just don't watch as much. But I mean, like, when I used to watch a lot of John Candy and Chris Farley and shit, and they were taking a lot of falls. I know a lot of Stuntman, too, but all the Three Stooges were... So it's a joke of a second, and I love that kind of stuff. But yeah, The Way Out West, very fun, very silly stuff. Good movie. All right, let's get these questions, comments, and concerns. So we have Moods, 616. No armpit flexing in the thumbnail. I'm highly disappointed, dude. Me too. Hideki Talks. Is that the name of the character from Evil Dead Trap 2? Possibly Hideki. I think it is. Hideki Talks. Litan is fun. I'm looking forward to your review. Also, Evil Dead Trap 2 is awesome. Angela 150. I was wondering where you are. Thanks. Carly Allison. 317. The armpit personality ratio here is deeply concerning. I shall unsubscribe. Love it. Nick Moole from Belgium. Blue Underground is a label that commands respect for sure. I wish I had more of their releases in my collection, even if it's a title I already own from another label. And who doesn't love Franco Nero? He's so good in Rennie Harlan's Die Hard 2, John Wick 2, The Last City of Z. I can't wait to check him out in the Fifth Court. A very nice giallo, or so I'm told. It's shot beautifully. That director, Bazzagoni, I think it is, he made 3 gialli, and he's known for having some really good cinematography in those films, and I do remember seeing all 3, and they're all very good. Black Belly the Translator do as well. I'd have to remember. What's your favorite Franco Nero performance? I mean, he's really good in Django, the original. Compañeros is a great one. He's always good. I don't have any negative about him. I always like the guy. Kioma is a fucking wild movie. He's good in that. Do actors make good directors, or should they stick to one form of art? Depends on the actor and director, honestly. Mel Gibson could make good movies. Clint Eastwood could make good movies. Lots of actors. Orson Welles make good movies. It depends on the guy. Sometimes not so much. Will you be sharpening your battle axe, sir, to slay the trolls that come after you on social media? If you don't own an axe, I'm sure your Patreon subscribers wouldn't mind paying a little more so you can buy one. Don't let the jealous pests get you down. Great video as always. Till next time. Thank you very much. No, I'll make jokes about trolls, but I'm not going to really take it that seriously. I'm just kind of baffled by some of their responses sometimes. It's very strange. Necrops, let's go. Thank you. Way up, dude. You, the man of all men. Okay. Ken Coakley, Arrow TV has an entire selection of Nico Mastorakis films, including all the movies in the box set. I have so far watched The Time Traveler. While there were some similarities to Jesus and Keir Dullah's performance, he also reminded me of David Bowie in his film debut as an alien whose planet was dying of famine and the man who fell to Earth, which also shares similarities to the story of Jesus, including being betrayed by those he trusted. In Dullah's explanation to the boy as to who he is, he mentioned a brother who believed in time travel and was ultimately crucified. Jesus did have human brothers who were sired by Joseph, but Jesus, while human, was also half divine. According to what some people and myself believe, his brothers were named James and Judah as well, as a third named Judas. James became an apostle after the crucifixion. The scientific theories of Jesus being an extraterrestrial is touched upon in John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. I met both Dullah and Adrienne Barbeau at the same cinema 2 different nights. Dullah was at a 70mm screening of 2001, and Barbeau was at the screening of The Fog, where she was bestowed a Midnight Movie Award that's been previously bestowed upon Lloyd Kaufman as well as William Lustig. Now on to Sky High. The jokes were predictable, and this is the first time I saw a sexploitation film in which the men wore banana hammocks. In one scene, they were sitting on the ground, and one of them had his knees arched. I swore I saw some baggage, and when they walked away in the banana hammocks, you could see Moose Knuckle. I have a silly movie theater. The comedian of the group wore a t-shirt saying Fresh Year Boston 1983. I believe he is the cousin of the school stud in Pieces, who got improv testicular exam at the end of Pieces, of course. Terminal Exposure was more of the same predictable jokes. It was nice seeing Ted Lang from Love Boat. Glitch was actually amusing. Dick Gaudier, who plays Lazar, had some TV success in the 60s on Get Smart as the Jaime the Robot, in the 70s as comedic Robin Hood on a show called When Things Were Rotten. The actor who played the dim-witted did a decent acting job. When he was smart, he reminded me of John Philip Law. Good call. This is from 2 weeks ago because you didn't read my comment. I did, but it came too late. I saw it after, but I'm glad you pushed it on there. Sometimes I've been recording these Thursdays, so I might miss it sometimes. If I ever miss it and you want me to read it, post it on next week. I'll read it. This is from 2 weeks ago because you didn't read my comment last week. It pertains to hillbillies and a haunted house. I actually kind of liked it. It was a bit of a monster mash with Basil Rathbone, John Carradine, and Lon Chaney Jr. You mentioned Chaney is a dog lover like myself. He did adopt the 2 German shepherds from the Wolfmen. He had lunch on the Universal lot with the dog that was an indestructible man. He also carried a puppy around in Dracula vs. Frankenstein. Hillbillies in a Haunted House is a sequel to Las Vegas Hillbillies, both co-starring Mamie Van Buren and Jane Mansfield were in Las Vegas Hillbillies. Merle Haggard was unrecognizable during the TV scene in Hillbillies in a Haunted House, but when he did the second appearance, he was recognizable. That's the end. The 2 movies were made as a part of a group of movies marketed for the South. Other films like The Road to Nashville that showcased a lot of country legends, including Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, as well as Marty Robbins, who also produced, as well as Nashville Rebel star Waylon Jennings in it. Wait, where am I at? Oh, as well as Nashville Rebel star Waylon Jennings in a dramatic role. The Fastest Guitar Alive, which was a Western starring Roy Orbison. Even in the 70s, there were films like Drive-In that was for Southern audiences. Another film aimed at Southern audiences but became a smash hit was Everywhere Was Smoky and the Bandit. Even Alfred Hitchcock owned a 35mm print and watched it every day. Yeah, so I mean, the movies made for the South is a lot of the Burt Reynolds vehicle. He was popular everywhere. So a lot of it, like Gator and White Lightning and shit, that stuff did well in the South. Especially, I mean, White Lightning's more of the time period that would pertain to. But yeah, a lot of good movies made for the South. But I think we're going to get out of here. Let's do the Patreon picks. I forgot to do that in the other video. So 5 names coming out of the hat. See what else we're going to watch. The first one up is Upside Down. What is it? Tyler Tadeo, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. Awesome. And then we got Art Figaro, 3 Women. I think I did that, the Robert Altman movie. I think so. So, I'm almost positive. Next up is The Friends of Eddie Coyle by Tyler Tadeo. 2 for Tyler. I'm going to do 6 names just in case. I did 3 women, unless he means a different film. So, Amy D, Drugstore Cowboy. Man, we got some depressing-ass movies coming up. Some pretty good crime films, too, and stuff. It's 3, 2 more. And we got Jason Willard, Raging Fire. Did I watch that one yet? See, this is the problem when you get old. You're like, a lot of the movies, the titles are something that are similar to other ones. They have alternate names and everything like that. And then Tom Brooker, A Perfect Getaway. We're going to do those 5 right there. So, yeah, thank you. And if you haven't been drawn out in a few weeks or a few draws, let me know and I'll get to you. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. And as always, have a good one.